that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
All right, hello and welcome back to the AoA show. I'm your host as always, Ian, along with my boys Isaiah.
What's up?
And Gavin.
What's up?
And today I'm super stoked to talk about Tower of God, episode 11, Underwater Hunt, part 1. So a lot of things to cover in this episode. There's a lot of shit going down. Things are moving fast paced, but the long story short of the matter is that they are conducting a test, and it's going to be a underwater test. So essentially, Bam and Rachel are put in a bubble of Shinzu or whatever, at the bottom of this like lake river thing, and basically these dolphins that look like eels basically are going to envelop them into a net and feed them to their queen. If they succeed in doing that, they pass the test. They fail the test, however, if they are obstructed by any of like the 5 different things that are out to fuck up this hunting thing, which would be the goblins with their weird fucking earthworm things, the bull that's just chilling there, and the pigs as well, the striped pigs. And it is up to Bam's teammates, who are the other tower participants for this course, I guess you could call it, to help kind of push those threats away in order that Bam can successfully complete the test along with Rachel. So in the beginning of the episode, that's kind of describing the first couple minutes of the episode, so I won't go too hard in, but we start with them in the bubble, and him and Rachel are, being described what's going down, as well as the other participants, like I said. And then from there, it's really just kind of getting into the test, right? So, like, that's really what there is to be talked about, but there is some behind-the-scenes stuff going on, which obviously this is where the bulk of the conversation happens. So one thing that I wanted to talk about, unless there's anything else that you guys wanted to mention as far as the first 5 minutes of the episode are concerned, I do like the super, super little side story of, and help me out with character names here, but the one princess who gives Bam the Black March, and her squad.
Yuri.
Thank
Yuri,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Yuri, go, and they're like at the edge of this cliff within a cave, and their navigator guy, who's just really just had it up to here with her bullshit at this point, he's just like, you know what, princess or not, like, I'm just getting tired of you. He's like, we gotta jump. That's the only way to get down there, and maybe we could take a second before we do that. And she's like, nah, fuck that noise, and just Spartan kicked him right in the back, right down the hole. And I'm like, I'm just really curious where this story is going. Like, her other companion even gives a look too, like, did you really need to, okay, like, whatever, he's going, like, that's it. And she's just ruthless in nature, which is just, I don't know, it's just hilarious. That was like literally like a 30-second scene, but I just thought it was hysterical, and I'm like, yeah. I don't know what's going on here, but it sounded like you want to say something.
We've seen her a couple times now, and we know clearly that she's trying to get into the testing area where, Bam and everybody else are, but that they're specifically trying to get in, like, under the radar, that they don't want to be, identified or detected by the rankers or anybody. So we don't really know why that's a thing, because assuming that she is a princess and a, air quotes, natural princess, right, like an officially sanctioned one, I don't innately see why that should be a problem. So, like, but again, clearly in the past couple episodes, every motherfucker has some sort of side ulterior motive or objective or cause that they're like, so I don't know, like there is clearly some sort of, like, reason and some sort of underlying issue as to why she doesn't want to be noticed. But yeah, apparently the only way to get in there undetected is fucking some back alley, ditch.
And I love the navigator, because he's like, this is the only way, and she's like, well, you're a navigator, like, is it like, find another way if you don't like it? And he's just like, what do you mean? And when she just fucking rail kicks him in it, and you're just like, poor dude. Like, every time you ever see them, he's always getting just the shit end of the stick, and he's like, bro, I'm just trying to do my 9 to 5. Like, can you fuck off, please? It's so amazing. Oh, I love that guy.
I'm just trying to do my 9 to 5 for real. That guy's just gotten the shit end of the stick, huh? No, that was funny. I mean, from there's a quick conversation between Bam and Rachel, which I feel like kind of fleshes out a little bit better later. So I want to get back to that later as far as Bam's motivations for getting to the top of the tower and stuff, which they discussed. But before that, and again, help me out with names here. The jumpsuit guy, who's like
Shibusu.
Thank you, Shibusu, who's like one of my favorite characters, as I've stated before. Basically has this conversation with Kun. And Kun basically asks him, he's like, you realize that there was like a monumental risk in taking this test, right? And he's like, yeah. And, which carries weight, right? Because he, among other participants, as we've described before, is not all that powerful in the grand scheme of things. So just the fact that he's made it this far is impressive in and of itself. And you know what I mean? Like the fact that he keeps on going is something that makes me respect him a lot as a character. But it's interesting because, again, he and the other girl that just left last episode, again, apologies, forgot the name, but had this really like heartfelt conversation when she was leaving. And I just love these like little snippets that they have where it's like a minute scene where they have these like one-on-one monologues or conversations with another character, and they're just super real. I just love, they're like my favorite parts of these episodes, and that's why I love these characters so much. But he basically says he doesn't want Bam. Kun asks, why are you helping Bam? And he says, I don't want Bam to lose what he has, because he feels like in order for him and other people to have come to the tower to begin with and kind of find the resolve to start climbing it, they felt like that a lot of the things that were important to them were stolen from them. And Bam, like before they even started climbing, and Bam is kind of the epitome of everything that they've lost or what they've had stolen. He hasn't had that, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it innocence or whatever, taken from him, right? He's still pure in his intentions, even though he has to, go through this rigorous testing, and all the other people have essentially lost that. So he's like, I feel like I can't let Bam lose that sense of purity that he might not even realize that. He probably doesn't even realize that he has, you know what I mean? It's just him, but I don't even think he realizes how much of an impact that he's made on me and people around him. He says he's even a little bit jealous of Bam in a sense, for that, but he doesn't want him to lose what he got. And to me, that was a really cool part of the episode. I love those little snippets, like I said. But from there, we go back. If I'm not mistaken, do we go back? Oh, no. We don't go back to Rachel yet, so I don't want to talk about that yet. But if anyone wants to talk about the fact that his squad mates vanished, and the reason they did was because there was a bull. So some kind of behind the scenes shit going on with there too, if anyone wanted to flesh that out.
Yeah. So I mean, the bull shows up, which is just like the ugliest looking thing that I think I've seen in this entire show, and that's saying something, because we've seen some pretty ugly things. And what sort of like cued me off to like, a moment that gets revealed later in the episode is that I guess, if you're counting, this isn't true if you're counting the goblins, but like excluding the goblins, he's one of the most, so one, right, you get like the direct acknowledgement from the director, who's like, and no matter what creature you encounter, like watch out for the bull. So immediately you're cued off like, all right, the bull is like, he's got to be hot shit. But like when it immediately comes on the screen, he comes on screen having already eaten two of the other guy's teammates. And so you're like, all right, this guy's not fucking around. Like, he's here, he's out for blood, and Shibasu's the only one here who's got blood. Like, he's this dude, this is it. And again, as we've expressed, Shibusu is not a natural-born fighter. I would even argue not really a fighter at all. And so I immediately, because I don't know, I don't know this show, right? I don't know what's going to happen. They could totally kill this motherfucker off right now. Like, I was genuinely scared that Shibusu was about to just eat it. Like, that he was going to have to, like, buy time for, Enderosi and Anak or whoever. And then, like, they get there and he's, like, dying. And it's like, but, so yeah, he comes on and Shibusu, like a G, just decides to hold him off when he could easily, and Kun even tells him, he's like, nah, dude, you gotta bail. Like, that thing's gonna eat you. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And, like a G, he's like, nah, fuck that, because then he's gonna go after the net dolphin. So, like, I gotta fight this thing. And it's like, damn, bro, like, I don't even know where you get off having these balls, bro, because, like, you can't fight. You literally can't defend yourself. If this thing even sideswipes you the wrong way, like, you're actually going to get eaten and killed. And it's like, this man, you know, like what you were saying in the scene before, but even several scenes that we've seen in past episodes, like if Bam is the epitome of like, you know, like pure like love and like friendship, this is like the wingman equivalent of that. This is the dude who is backing that kind of shit up like just to a T. This is the man who you want on that guy's side, because he's just literally ready to ride and die for this dude he met, you know, I don't know time wise how far we've been, but like what, a couple weeks, a month ago. Like it's crazy. I'm consistently blown away by Shibisu's like resolve and his commitment to Bam and like the cause and all that shit. It's dope. But yeah, so the bull comes and Shibisu is, you know, trying to distract him, and literally just as he's about to be eaten, Enderosi and Anak come in strutting on their princess shit and decide to literally make a bet to see who can fuck up the bull the quickest, or who can fuck him up in, you know,
a 5-minute period.
Like, yeah. Which is like, you know, that's always like hilarious, right? The juxtaposition of like Shibisu's literally about to be eaten and can like only manage to stab this thing once, and they're like, all right, bet right now, 5 minutes, I can fuck this thing up. And it's like, and to their word, they do start putting in hands and putting work on this dude, and kind of slapping this thing around silly, or at least Enderosi does, until this thing runs off and treks off. And I actually forgot, like, you know, when it ran off, I forgot that the thing that gets alluded to next was even like was a problem to worry about, or was a thing that like could have happened.
Okay.
Which, so, you know, with the bull runs off, and Enderosi and Anak go chasing after it because they got to finish their bet. And then you get the, you know, the scene of the, what's his name? The fucking rice ball dude?
Byron, pretty much. The Royal Enforcement Division, number 67.
Byron, that's what his name? All right.
Yeah, Byron,
so,
pretty much.
Yeah, so you get, you get the first scene with Byron where it is, you know, alluded to, and at that point for me, I was like, fuck. Like, because I totally forgot that literally their whole actual goal was just to ice off Anak. So like I was like, oh fuck, because so then, like, you know, everything gets put together and you realize that the bull ran off essentially to draw the two apart so that the Byren could just put Anak down. I mean, it took him like 5 actual seconds. And he's like in my mind, you know, I guess like up there if we're talking about scale with the director. So, you know, I assume that this dude could handle his own and could, like, you know, grapple in a fight or whatever. But Anak is like, you know, of all the fighters that we have in our little like group here of our team, she's like one of the best. Like, she's up there and can hold her own. So to just see her sort of get mollywopped in like literal seconds was like, oh fuck, okay, we're gonna need like some, you know, some fucking plot shit to happen right now, because she's not getting out of this shit, you know, fucking just off her own merits. But yeah, that's and the other like interesting thing, at least to me, was the, you know, so the plan here essentially, right, at least Kuhn's initial plan, is to catch all the individual parties that are vying for the net dolphin and the fish off guard, right? So he's got the spear bearers up on land tracking the goblins and the worm, I forget what their name, but the giant worms. And he has the initially Shibisu and the princesses watching the dolphin's movements. So like the like, and then what happens essentially, what sets everything off is the one spear bearer just kind of throws his spear at a goblin, like out of nowhere. And I don't know if that was like, if he thought that, you know, what's his name, Hots, was like about to get jumped by a goblin, or if he just like lost his cool or lost his grip or something. But it just seemed like that whole episode, you know, the whole thread line there, you know, is Rock being like, come on, let me fight. And Kuhn's like, no man, not yet, like this is part of the plan, you gotta stick to this shit. And then this dude just kind of fucks up everything. And now like everybody's on the run, everybody's fucking trying to get out of it, and it's like, God, dude, you had one job. You had literally one job. Just keep your fucking cool and keep that spear in your goddamn hands, and now everything has gone to shit.
That character is the actual worst. You can put me on record for
that. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if memory serves, during the last test, he was one of the niggas who bailed on Hots. Like when Hawk
Yeah.
was like, all right, I'm gonna go in the shadows and jump the ranker. You guys help me, and he just booked it. And I'm like, I don't fuck with this dude. I just don't. He just consistently
Yeah.
is fucking shit up.
He also was the guy who initially was not willing to help Bam in the final test until he was like, "Oh yeah, you guys are acting, and now everyone's gonna help him, so I'm good to do it." And it's like, you
Yep.
fucking snake.
Yeah, he's got no
Yeah.
points with me.
No, yeah, me neither. And I think it's interesting too. Again, Kuhn kind of being like the ace up a sleeve. I feel without people even realizing it. Understands from the girl who just has a dove inside water. I don't know. I'm not even going to try and describe her ability, but basically understands that there's like something underground.
Well, so she has a fish, and the fish, when it interacts with Shinsu, can essentially act like a sonar and like a radar, and can track the movements, because they were saying once the net is up and like the fish are on the move, they have no way of tracking it, so they don't know where they're going. So she was like, "Oh, I can do that. Like I can literally from above ground, I can follow."
Oh,
exactly where
you're
they're going."
definitely
And he was
yes.
like, "Oh shit."
You're right.
Yeah.
I missed that. You're right, because he was like, "Oh no, we're gonna miss it." Go ahead, Gavin. I'm sorry.
No, and not only that, it also alludes that she can also like very low key manipulate animals too, because Kuhn also like asks like,
Right.
"Hey,
Yeah.
with this ability, can you like control the bowl or any of the
Yeah,
worms or
which was
stuff
the
like
other,
that?" And she's
at least,
what?
which was the other cue. I was just gonna say it was the other cue to me that the bull was being manipulated by Bo. What's his name? Bo Pen, whatever the fuck his name is.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna go into. Yeah, by
Right,
Ren.
because,
So
I believe
that
she's the one who's
these
like,
other
well,
rankers.
I can't at my level, but a ranker or somebody higher definitely could. And so it's like, oh fuck, all right.
Yes. Yeah, and then that's where you kind of you realize that it was a trap, because Byron says like, "You fell for my trap," more or less, and is obviously controlling the bull. And then that kind of like alludes that not only can it's not a specific thing that Byron can do, other people in this tower can also manipulate their like other natural world and shit like that. But another thing that was very important for Byron that I noticed was the necklace of Anak's mother that he was kind of toiling with in his mouth. And bro, what a fucking way to throw salt in the wounds. Like, not only do you pretty much have Anak like on her deathbed, more or less, like she's got a fucking like weird ass spear to the heart at this point, and he's like toiling with her necklace, and she's like, "Where the fuck did you get this? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's my mother's." And he's just like literally just running her through the fucking dirt. And what I think is really interesting is how this whole test is set up, because obviously the whole point of it was for the capture of Anak and to kill her. And that was also said by Byron and what was his name? Yi Sung? The
I don't know, the director.
Close
I don't know
enough.
what his name
Yeah,
is.
yeah, Han Sung. And it's really cool when you look at how their test is built from that perspective, because this whole place is literally designed to separate everybody, because Khan, like, the whole idea is that you need groups to go after the worms and the goblins and the boars or whatever the pigs are, and then you worry about the bull. So everybody needs to be divided so you can kind of get Anak on her own and bait her out with the bull to get her and to kill her. So like this whole test is designed with that purpose, and it's so creative just to think about in terms of, I'd imagine it comes from the webtoons, like if we're following off of that back. And that was just such a cool idea for a test in my book. Like, I just really liked the way they designed it, and it made sense, like, because obviously if Byron went to go, like, after Anak with everybody around her, like, he'd have his work cut out for him, He'd have to deal with...
It also
he'd have to deal with fucking
feels
everybody.
like the test is almost secondary, right? Because
Mhm.
the whole purpose behind getting rid of Anak is because Jihad and the tower, by extension, have to protect like this image, and they have to maintain the structure and the world, quote unquote, that they have built, where he constantly references that she's an imposter and she's an enemy of Jihad and she's not a real princess. So it's like it almost feels like, especially people, if we're talking to the director and by I'm never gonna remember that dude's name, that guy, the rice ball.
Byron.
The
rice ball.
I like rice ball.
Like-
I'm going with rice ball from now on.
I don't think the test doesn't feel like it carries the same level of weight, and I guess this is obvious for every person here, right? Like Bam and Rachel, obviously, and like all of the squad, the people taking the test, this matters to them, right? Because it's the only way they can get to the top of the tower. But to like the director and everybody else, like this is literally a game, and not even that it's a game, but it's like secondary. They've got their own like actual agenda that they're focused on, and it's essentially just maintaining Jihad's order, right? They don't really even give a fuck what's going on with Bam and the tower and shit. It's like they're doing this test basically just off a whim, and all of a sudden they get a word or a cue that like, oh, there's a Nox here, she's like, gotta get rid of her. You know what I mean? It's like there's literally like two different plots going on, and it's so interesting how entangled all of this stuff is, to where, again, spoke about at the beginning, like when we started talking about this show, where it's like we are really on like some Promised Neverland level of like conspiracy shit, where it's like everybody is like got 9 different plots against some other person, you know what I mean? And it's just like, just being taken along for this ride and following all of the stuff the way it's unfolding is just so cool.
So with this test and how it's set up now, I have a little prediction, and I feel like Bam is isolated with Rachel underwater for the mere fact that if he wasn't, that he would actually be able to take on Byren, because I feel like Hansung, the administrator, knows the strength that Bam has and knows that he can cause like a lot of trouble, you know, even though Bam might not know it really, because he doesn't know his strength.
It was a way for him to isolate basically the strongest member from the group.
Yeah, I feel like this test was really well thought out behind the scenes, where he's like, I want to isolate Bam so he can't cause any trouble, because he technically can have the capability to, because he's so powerful.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
He's like a sleeper, you know, and like that's where all the strings are being pulled. Like he's really like lining his ducks in the row. It's almost like a real game of chess, you know. And I feel like that's how they're rolling with it.
They're also taking very, I guess, specific variables, let's just say, into account, right? Because clearly when the episode reaches its end, one of the other things that they're banking on is the relationship, if that's what you want to call it, between Enderosi and Anak, right? Because by Rice Ball could very easily kill Anak. We know that he says it, it's shown. But clearly, the boy has a sense of theatrics, right? He thinks it would be more fun if he got an Enderosi to kill Anak, because we know that from past episodes that image, that the way that they view Anak is very similar to how Enderosi does. It's pretty much how all the princesses look at Anak. So they are also banking on this idea that Enderosi probably shares either the same motivation and or the same desire that they do, right? And I think this show has done good enough of a job at alluding to the fact that Enderosi has had a shift in morals and motives, at least enough to that she's probably not going to kill Anak, at least in my opinion. But yeah, it's just like everybody. It's just it's a really just great understanding of like everybody has all these cards in play, and like who has shown who, what cards, and it's just every episode, man. It's just so fun to watch.
No, I love it. That's one thing, again, where it's like we said it in the beginning of the show. It's like it's not like this hasn't been done before, but the way that it just goes layers on layers on layers and layers, right? Because it's like if you don't do this the correct way, it's the most boring show in the world. But the fact that they're doing it the right way, in my personal opinion, in like having all of these different things going on, and I think, not to sound like a broken record, Isaiah, you described it, pretty damn well, where it's like there's like an image to uphold and everyone has their own motives. It's pretty awesome to see everyone's motives fleshed out or cut short or whatever. And kind of just circling back to Bam real quick, not that it's too relevant, but I said I'd get to it because we kind of go throughout his conversation that he's having with Rachel throughout the episode, right? And it's interesting in contrast to all of these other people that have these motives, right? Rice Ball's trying to fucking kill Anak. You know what I mean? Like the director's got something scheming. Like people are figuring things out. Kun is realizing what really is at play here. There are, other characters fucking things up and whatever. And all the while, Bam... like a G himself, he's talking to Rachel, just making good conversation. There's just a really touching part where she's like, you don't have to act so cool, blah, blah. And Bam says, hey, when I was talking to the guy that whatever the fuck that monster thing is, right? He asked me, he says,
I think they call him the administrator.
Thank you. Yeah. The administrator. He said, when I was talking to the administrator asked me, what do you want at the top of the tower? And he's like, the first thing that came to my mind is to see your face and the cafe, right? He says, we're like everyone, and he said, before I could even speak, he said, okay, that's fine, right? So like he read his mind immediately, and like that's how that it's like his, like Bam is actually pure, that it's like he didn't even have to utter the words, you know what I mean? Like it immediately came to mind, like that the administrator knew. It's like, all right, like you're good people, you know? So I just think it's kind of cool in 100%. Contrast.
No, it definitely is cool. I think that combined with, you know, again, what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, Shibisu's conversation about Bam with Kun, you know, I say this all the time, and I don't mean it in a bad way in the slightest. It's like Bam is really like the pure definition of like protagonist. He is on like this vibe of like this is the guy that you want as a protagonist, the kind of guy that can instinctively inspire people to like sort of like instantly reflect on themselves and like want the like, because it's one thing for, I feel like, for, you know, a person, a character, what have you, to make a character look at themselves and be like, all right, I want to be better, like I've got to get stronger because I need to do this, or I need to, you know, I need to get further ahead in my agenda. But Bam has inspired all of these people to follow him, and that is innately a harder thing to do. He's inspired these people not to want the betterment, or at least not directly, of themselves, but they want the betterment of Bam. Like they want essentially what he wants, right? And like that is such a, you know, it's, I guess in the frame of storytelling, like it sounds somewhat simple, but like it's not an easy thing to do, you know, to inspire people to follow you, and to lead them, you know, whether he knows it or not, whether it's stated or not. In a way, like Bam is the leader here, right? Bam is the cornerstone and the core of this group. He's the literal foundation that holds everybody together and holds everybody's motives and morale intact. And so, like, just again, anytime you watch him display that, you know, like even in those conversations with Rachel, like he says with the administrator, everything, like all of these answers and everything he wants comes so natural to him. There is no need to think about it. There is no, it's just instinct. It's just act. There is no think. There is just do. And it's like, it's so inspiring, honestly, to watch.
I agree, 110%. I think I'm very excited for where this show is going. I'm excited to talk about these next 2 episodes as they come up. Obviously, this one ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, so we have to see what happens there. But yeah, I'm really stoked, and I'm really stoked to be talking about this one today. So, I mean, those are our thoughts, guys. As always, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell if you enjoy the content today. It really goes a long way. And also comment your thoughts down below. We love having these conversations with you guys. And fortunately for us, the Tower of God community, I guess as I'll put it, has been great. We've received a lot of interaction and engagement on these videos and these discussions. You guys are really awesome, discussing things that are different in the webtoon as opposed to the show, and like where you think things will go. And you guys have done a great job at not spoiling anything, so thank you for that. So just keeping along that trend. We love to hear from you guys and, you know, and discuss. So please don't stop. But until next time, guys, we are out of here. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you all on the flip. Peace.
Later.
Hey folks, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our new episodes.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AoA Podcast if you want to keep up with our content or suggest new ideas for the show.
You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week to talk about all things anime.
Ninjas are samurais, blazing the cool knives. Find me in the leaf of the cloud, screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls.